Welcome to the Daily Items Winter Sports Podcast, a weekly look at what's happening with the Susquehanna Valley's high school and college teams. From Bucknell and Susquehanna University men's and women's basketball to all the high school hoops, wrestling, swimming, and more, the Daily Items Sports Team has the latest on the players, coaches, and teams to watch. Now, here's your host, Daily Items Sports Editor, Kurt Ritzman.
Hello and welcome to our Daily Item Winter Sports Podcast. I'm Kurt and I'm happy to be joined by Todd Hummel to start tonight. We're going to start with college. Bucknell introduced their new football coach, Dave Cicchini. I learned how to say it since last week, Saturday morning. Met him. Seems like a nice guy. The kids seem excited. He's supposed to be an offensive mastermind, which is where the Bison have struggled recently.
Yeah. Well, it's Joe Sousan's favorite saying used to be wanted every drive to end with a kick, and so he was happy with an extra point or a punt, and sometimes there was a little too many punts.
They do have an All-American punter, so
well, it's true.
Not the worst thing. Yeah. But defense is going to remain mostly the same. Coach Cicchini said offense is going to be different. Run-pass options, 90% out of the shotgun, 5 wides. I talked to freshman wide receiver Brandon Sanders. He's excited about the new offense, as you can probably imagine for a wide receiver.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can't say between the receivers and the quarterbacks, they probably are pretty excited. And that's the one thing Bucknell has done well under Joe Sousan is, they've been one of the top defenses in the Patriot League for 4 or 5 years now. So, if they can get some offense to go with that defense, it should be interesting times up there.
Yeah, I spent a lot of my day Saturday at Bucknell. After the press conference for Coach Cicchini, I watched the Bucknell men win again, beat Boston 82-76. I went back there Monday night in a battle for first place, watched them beat Lehigh 87-75 behind 27 points from Kimball McKenzie, who moved into 25th place on Bucknell's career scoring leaderboard. And that opened up a 2-game lead on first over Lehigh for the Bucknell men.
More impressive that they won both games, or that you actually got out to cover both games?
That I got to cover both games. It's not too often that I get out to 2 Bucknell games in a row right now, but I was happy to do it. They're rolling.
I think the more interesting game is probably Lehigh, just because like we talked about last week, coming off just getting a day off after a tough league game, and they did. That first half was kind of a slog on Monday night. I was watching it on TV here in the office. But, it was seen once they got their legs underneath them, they played real well. And, great defensive effort. I think that, I don't think people realize how good of a three-point shooting team Lehigh has been this season, near tops in the country. And Bucknell did a real good job of limiting their 3-point shots on Monday night.
Yeah, Lehigh was like 6 of 22 from behind the arc. And so they pounded it inside. James Karnak for Lehigh had 21 points, 9 rebounds. But against a good 3-point shooting team like Lehigh, that's what you'll live with that if you're Bucknell. So then Saturday after the Bucknell men's game, watch the Bucknell women destroy Lafayette. They ended up winning by 32. It was 31-6 midway through the second quarter.
That is also where I turned it off.
Yes.
But I did watch up to that point, and they, they're so deep right now, and I think that really helps it, in league play. And then with the 2 weeks off, you had to think that they might come off, start slow, and that certainly didn't happen. And Lehigh, obviously, by midway through the first quarter there, it was pretty obvious that Lehigh didn't have much of a chance in that game. Lafayette.
Yeah.
Lafayette. Yeah. Men played Lehigh that day.
Right. The Bucknell women are at Lehigh tonight, so we'll have a roundup of that in Thursday's Daily Item. Bucknell women 10-1 in Patriot League play, tied with American for first. Bucknell beat American in their first matchup, so that'll be coming up soon. That's something to watch.
I think it's the last league game in the beginning of March.
And Bucknell women are home against Colgate on Saturday, so get out and see them. They're fun to watch.
Yeah, they are fun to watch, and hope teams play man against them, because their pattern offense is really fun to watch, and how they move the ball and set screens to get themselves open.
Moving over to Susquehanna, a big win for the men on Saturday. Beat Catholic to clinch a berth in the Landmark Conference tournament. They're 8-4 in league play, tied for third right now with Scranton. Big game tonight, Wednesday night. Josh Funk's going out there to cover it, so make sure you read Thursday's paper. They're playing Moravian, who is second, 1 game ahead of the Riverhawks right now, and I think being the 2 seed is going to be kind of important, and those three teams are really clustered right now.
Yeah, between Scranton, Susquehanna, and Moravian there, and it's real impressive. This freshman class from Susquehanna. Of course, his name slipped my mind. Was the player of the week, and then scored a career high in that game Saturday against Catholic, and he's really stepped off the bench for the Riverhawks. And we talked a little bit last week of how they struggled last year, and how but these this freshman class has really brought them back to where they had been for the past couple years before that. And it's going to be interesting to see over the next 4 years how this class grows and what they can do for the Riverhawks.
Mm-hmm. So Moravian Wednesday night, then at Juniata to end the regular season. So yeah, you definitely, if you can win both and avoid Drew, I think that would be good for Susquehanna. I mean, not that any of those, the top four all seem fairly evenly matched, but I think you want to play Drew in the finals instead of the semis.
Yeah, and then if you want that semi at home too, if at all possible. So
sure.
Obviously this game tonight is huge for them.
Susquehanna women played well for 3 quarters or so, and then Catholic went on a nice run at the end. Catholic won 61-55 over the Riverhawks. They end their season at Moravian Wednesday at Juniata. It'd be nice to end on an upswing. 6-16 overall, 3-9 in league.
Just never got their offensive problems figured out for the most part this season, and it's just it's going to be interesting to see. It's another team that has some pretty good young players between the freshman and sophomore class. Only 3 seniors honored on senior day, so this is it's a young Susquehanna team. It's going to be interesting to see what they can do these last 2 games to push forward to next season. I'd probably expect to see a lot of freshmen and sophomores over these next 2 games just to kind of get a read of what they have as we head into the recruiting season.
Sure. We're going to change over to boys basketball. Conference tournaments coming up in college here now for the Hack, at least.
Yeah.
Starts Thursday night. What are you looking for in the semifinals?
First off, it's going to be fun, I think. Starting tomorrow night, Danville and Montoursville. Danville, after that 1-point game against Shamokin, has really played really well over these last 10 days of the season. Snapped Mifflinburg's winning streak on Saturday, beat them pretty badly, beat a 4-loss Central team pretty badly in the last couple weeks. And Athens has won, in theory, the 5th seed heading into 4A, heading into the district playoffs, and that was 32 to 11 at the end of 1 quarter. So if they could play at this level, it's going to be real tough to beat this Danville team. But Montoursville is good enough to do it. Montoursville has been played well for the most part at the beginning of the season, but has kind of hit the skids a little bit late in the season. It's going to be interesting. They're supposed to play Lewisburg tonight on Wednesday, to finish off their league season. So they're going to play on back-to-back nights possibly. And if they would upset Danville, end up playing 3 nights in a row. And then the other semifinal, Loyal Sock and Mount Carmel. I don't think you're going to see much defense in this one. I really think it's going to be probably, both teams are going to want to get into the 70s. Another thing to look for is Mount Carmel's had a long layoff. Mount Carmel is going to go nearly 2 weeks without, till they take the court tomorrow night. And that could be a preview of the 3A final. I think, Coach Lazicki talked a lot at the beginning of the season that he thought they matched up well with this Loyal Sock team and wanted to see how they matched up. And, he gets a chance to check it out before the playoffs come. And I think that might be the more interesting matchup to me tomorrow night, just because, I thought at the beginning of the season Mount Carmel, had a shot at them, but Loyal Sock has played so well this season, just 1 loss, and that was to Danville. That this Loyal Sock team is number 3 in the state now. They were number 2 last week. That it's gonna be a real good measuring stick game for Mount Carmel, who quite honestly struggled at the end of the season after starting the season 15-1.
Now, I like Mount Carmel. I like the way they play. I like their tough kids. They're 3 scorers, but I think probably what most people want to see Friday night is Danville Loyal Sock number 2.
I think so too, and that was January 3rd they played. That Danville win, and I don't blame them. I was off that night. I want to see Danville Loyal Sock too. But a Danville Mount Carmel game with Mount Carmel coming off Loyal Sock isn't too bad either.
Sure.
And I think the big thing, I think the big thing that gives Danville the advantage right now is Dyson Harward, who, at the beginning of the season might have been a little iffy on that knee, coming back from that knee injury, but he has played so well these last couple weeks, had 30 and 18 against Athens, and nobody in this tournament has the size that Danville has or the depth. So I think Danville wins their second straight one, but I really think we're in for some entertaining games.
Okay. Other conference tournaments, Tri-Valley League was canceled, so Halifax, undefeated in league play, is going to claim the championship there.
What a world we live in. A swatting incident just killed the Tri-Valley League playoffs because Lime Mountain ended up... Heck, Lime Mountain hasn't gone to school since they got dismissed early last Friday. So,
yeah.
And that kind of... Lime Mountain and Juniata needed to play to find out who the fourth seed would be, either Juniata and Upper Dauphin, and they're just running out of time because Greenwood opens up the district playoffs Monday in District 3.
Wow,
so
Monday.
Yeah, Monday. So they had to... they just decided to scrap it rather than... make them play play so often. And then Schuylkill League boys got knocked back. The semifinals were supposed to be tonight. They got moved to Friday, and now the Schuylkill League finals instead of Friday will be Saturday at I think it was 4 and 6. I don't think they're going 6 and 8 again. But Lord's boys and Lord's girls are in that. Lord's boys against Blue Mountain. Blue Mountain really did a number on them last year, but Thomas got hurt like midway through the third quarter in that game. But it's kind of an interesting matchup for the Red Raiders as they head into the Class A playoffs to see kind of where they stand trying to get back to a state final.
So outside of the 3 Valley teams that are playing for conference titles, is there much else going on as teams get ready for district play?
No, I don't think anybody. I don't think anybody with any district playoffs plays the rest of the week until next week. Probably a couple days off. It's probably been a long slog since before Thanksgiving, and then get back to work at the end of this week. District brackets come out late Sunday night, so look for those. I think Danville, Loyalsock, Millville, and Lords will probably be your 1 seeds.
Okay.
As we head into the district playoffs, and by the time we talk next week, we might have a couple games in by then.
So when we expect playoffs, Tuesday start maybe?
With 8 teams, they usually have been able to get away with kind of spreading out that first thing. So They'll probably go Wednesday, Thursday, Friday next week, I would assume. I don't think there's going to be any playing games. Maybe in Double A because there's, Millville 17-1, and I think 2 through 11 is all like 1 game above or 1 game below 500.
Okay, what else do we need to address, boys basketball-wise?
I think we're good.
All right. Well, I'm going to say goodbye to Todd then, and talk about a new sport with another guest.
All righty.
All right, I'm happy to welcome in Chris Nagy to talk a little wrestling. Let's start with state duels, and then we'll look ahead to sectional individuals.
All right.
So Southern are the runner-up again.
Everything lined up perfectly for the Tigers. Perfect start at 170. They had the toss. They had everything they needed to do. And even at the end, needing either a tech fall or a fall from Kaylin to win it, was still in a good position for them. But it was, I don't know what happened. And I said in the story, as soon as he was done shaking hands, Jerry Marks just walked. He walked into the bathroom, did not go to the bathroom, came back out of the bathroom but he just walked. And because he knew he had it. He had the perfect lineup. But when you have your 3 number 1 wrestlers on your lineup fail combined for a total of 1 bonus point or 2 bonus points, there's your problem right there. Cole Bisco barely winning, Gavin and Gage Garcia just getting majors. That was your problem there. You get bonus points in those 3 situations. You get the 2 pins you were counting for. You were counting a pin from Shane Miller. Southern has a gold medal.
I think you got to give Reynolds credit because I'm sure that, when they get to 220, the Reynolds coach says, don't let Gage put you on your back.
Yeah, and that's exactly what that kid did. I mean, one of my favorite stories of the weekend, though, was the kid from Chestnut Ridge, Brody Harbaugh, who was told by his coach, well, let me tell you, he laid out, Southern still 1-0 on a Gage Garcia pin, but he did not let Preston Zachman pin him. And I asked the coach, I go, did you actually tell him to go out there and lay down lay down. He goes, I told him to go out there and be a beach whale, but unfortunately he looked more like a dead seal. And I love the coach from Chestnut Ridge because he tells you like it is. He's like, yeah. He goes, we knew we couldn't get pinned there, so I told him. I go, but a couple times Brody actually went for a fireman's carry, and I said, what did you say to Brody about those? He goes, well, at a blood time, I told him, stop. Don't do it. But coach, no, you can't get him. Stop. But there's a lot of little neat stories that came out. But yeah, I mean, Reynolds did what they needed to do to win, and Southern did not. And that's what it comes down to. Now, we'll see this again in 365 days because Southern loses 2 people, Shane Miller and Mike Miner. Reynolds loses 4 seniors, 3 out of the starting lineup.
Okay.
So we're going to see this again next year. And we're going to be stupid to think that we're not going to see it for the next 3 to 4 years. So...
what'd you see from Sealands Grove? I know they dropped both the 2, but good experience. I got a lot of kids mat time.
If my back wasn't killing me right now, I'd stand up and give Seth Morton a standing ovation. To know that you were not going to beat Northampton, to not go in with these predetermined grandeurs of illusion that, hey, we're going to go in there and we're going to win a gold medal and everything else. Knowing, taking it for what it's worth, and rewarding those kids that are the greatest practice partners, the greatest students in your room, constantly going and knowing they're not going to get mat time or anything, and then finally getting that wrestler's dream to, even if it is being able just to count the halogen bulbs while somebody from Northampton pins you. I mean, to wrestle on, that's something nobody can take away from you.
Sure.
It's like nobody can say, hey, somebody can say, oh, well, I wrestled, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, well, I wrestled at the Giants Center. Nobody can take that away from you. And for what Seth did for those kids, I applaud him. I mean, that is what a coach needs to do. That's what coaches are. Coaches are supposed to be there for the best interest of their athlete, not for the best interest of the program, best wins and the W's and L's. Jim Snyder, in the story that I wrote last week about him, said, once I figured out that it wasn't about the W's and L's and it was about these kids, I became a better coach. This weekend, Seth Morton became a better coach.
Looking ahead to sectional wrestling, it's Wednesday afternoon we're filming this. Brackets come out Thursday night, so we don't know all the specifics, but what are you looking forward to Saturday?
I'm looking forward to a lot of chalk. I'm looking forward to, I don't think we're going to have a lot of surprises like we've had in the years past. I don't think there's any people to really think that's going to surprise us. There's not going to be a Devin Pekevich coming out of nowhere like he did 2 years ago. There's not going to be none of that. What we're going to see is we're going to see a lot of people. I think we're going to see a lot of anger taken out by Southern's individuals. I think Southern will win the team title. But I think we're going to see a couple head scratchers.
Okay.
Because you always see a head scratcher or two. But I think you're going to see the dominance at the top of the seeds. Like you're going to see Dakota Snyder. You're going to see those type of people really just coming to the top and everything else. I'm not saying it's going to be a bad day of wrestling at Southern, because it's not going to be. But I think you're going to see it in this year instead of in years past. I think you're going to see a lot of chalk. I think you're going to see a lot of write down, and you're going to see programs, and you're going to see a couple of the kids that you've not heard about this year really go, hello world, I'm here.
Okay.
And the one more name that I want everybody to keep a real good eye on coming through this postseason is going to be Max Madden.
Okay.
From Shamokin. Keep a real close eye on him. I think he's going to surprise a lot of people. I think Midwest is going to be the big question mark since they didn't do the team stuff in it. Mm-hmm. Are they going to be ready? Are they going to be fresh? Are they going to be too fresh? Are they going to be stale? So we got to wait to see how they perform. I like to, at this point right now, I'd like to tell you what I prediction for the Valley. I think we're going to get 30 kids in the States.
In the States,
I think we'll get 30 kids. Don't forget, we'll probably get 5 or 6, but I think we'll get 24 out of AA. Okay. And the road starts this week.
Is there a weight class that you're particularly looking forward to watching on Saturday that people in attendance might want to? I don't know how many mats are going on. 4 or 5, 6, probably. Only 2.
They're 2, but they do it really, really fast.
Okay.
Actually, I like to look at. You take the most dominant weight class, which is 195.
Okay.
Which the one weight class nobody thinks they have a chance in because of Gage Garcia. Mm-hmm. He's the most dominant wrestler in the entire state. 195, you put that out. And then you look at 182 and 220. All the people who ran. And there's people who ran.
Sure.
Let's be honest. There's a lot of people who ran. So you want to look at the 82 and 220 to see if somebody cut too much or if somebody ate too many Big Macs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If I weigh 195, I say, Coach, I'm not gonna cut this week. Let me go up to 220. I feel good. I feel strong.
Yeah. I'm going to McDonald's after practice, Coach.
All right, so make sure to check out this weekend. We should have a preview and then definitely full coverage on Sunday, and then we'll be back to talk about what's the next step. Districts,
both districts. So get really pumped for that because we get District 9-4, and then we get our district 2 days on the beautiful, comfy seats at the Magic Dome.
All right, that's all we got for wrestling this week. Thanks for stopping by, Chris. All right, now I'm happy to welcome in Scott Dudinskie to talk a little bit about girls basketball. And again, I'm going to bring up Wednesday podcast. Thursday comes out sometimes a little tricky. Like tonight, Scott's headed over to Shikellamy High School in a couple hours for the Heartland Athletic Girls semifinals. So I guess, what are you expecting? What are the key matchups tonight that people can then read about in Thursday's newspaper after they watch the podcast?
I hope we're in for two good games. The seeding, which is done by the league committee, the Heartland Committee, could have gone any number of ways, with two teams tying for the Division I championship, Danville and Mifflinburg. They could not meet in the semis because they're both from the same division, so the matchups had to avoid a semifinal meeting between those two teams. So what we got is Danville, the co-Division I champion, versus the Division II champion, Warrior Run. That's the first game, and I think that shapes up as a pretty good matchup. I think both teams' strengths come more in the post area, in the paint. Danville, of course, has a senior center, Clara Coombe, has made big strides this year, and a returning all-star forward in Karina Petrus. They are double machines, to probably use a cliche, but they are the engine that drives the Danville team. Not much of a perimeter shooting team on a night-in, night-out basis, although Lene Williams, a junior guard, has the ability to hit the three and stretch defenses. So a good, potent Danville team at 20-2 against a 16-6 Warrior Run team, which is just really confident right now. Went to Lewisburg in a must-win game for the Division II title and won that with a good combination of an inside-outside game. They have a freshman, Emily McKee, who has also made great strides in the post, and kind of a dynamic all-around player in Sydney Hoffman, who in that game for the Division II championship showed me a lot with her ability to hit the outside shot, to penetrate and score off the dribble, and really play the length of the court, play good defense, and be an offensive threat. So from a record standpoint, 20-2, the Ironmen, and the fact that they were really the team to beat throughout the Heartland 1 season, I would give the nod to Danville just on paper, but I think having seen Warrior Run last week win that game and how they won at Lewisburg, I think that's a closer game than probably a lot of people would expect.
Are you thinking on the lower scoring side? I know that Warrior Run must-win Lewisburg was 39-33.
Yeah, not a great first half by either team in that game, Kurt. I think it was 13-12 at the break, and that's not something that either team is typically known for. They're not a slow down team. I think it'll be a back and forth game for that first semi. I don't think either team is necessarily a lockdown defensive team. I give them both, a positive edge in scoring the basketball. So I think, I think you could easily see that game in the 40s, maybe a 50-point winner.
Okay.
In the nightcap, you have the Division III winner, 20-2 Loyalsock, against the Division I co-champion, 18-4 Mifflinburg. I think for entertainment value, I think it'll be a fantastic game. Both teams have scoring threats across the board. So it's not like you'll see box and one or anything like that on the given stars on any team, because so many other people can hurt you on both sides. I do like Loyalsock. Loyalsock is the defending champion. Only haven't had a chance to see them one time this year, but what an impression they made winning at Mount Carmel, in my eyes. Not only do I think Loyalsock will repeat, Kurt, I'd go so far as to say I think this team has a claim to being one of the best in the 7 years of the tournament.
Wow.
I think Danville in 2015, 2016, if memory serves, with Amber Renz and Paige Harris, Riley Gass, which was a 27-2 finisher when they finally bowed out in states, won the Heartland tournament. I think that is my standard. I think Loyalsock with its depth, a good ball handler in Juliana Cruz, a great outside shooter in Maggie Fox, a slasher in Summer McNulty, just a slew of Heartland Heartland Division III All-Star candidates. I think Mifflinburg will match up well. The Griffith twins, Libby Whitaker inside, Angela Reamer on the wing. I think they have the opportunity to play and make it a good basketball game. I just think Loyalsock is that good.
Well, so that'll be interesting to see what happens tonight and then Friday night in the final. So make sure to pick up Thursday and Saturday Daily Items to read all about that. One thing Todd and I talked about, which applies to the girls also, Tri-Valley League canceled their playoffs, so gives Susquehanna the girls title. So that's a little disappointing for a basketball fan, but gives teams like Greenwood and EJ some extra time to practice before the district playoffs, which could be beneficial.
Well, and what I'll say about that, Kurt, is that Susquehanna had proved itself all year long.
Sure.
Greenwood, for our coverage area, was a fantastic basketball team. Two really potent players, Kennedy Stroup and Allie Walton, in 4 games this year, they both went over the 20-point mark.
Wow.
Which is remarkable. That's kind of unprecedented for me in 25 years of covering basketball to see those kinds of scores be that consistent. And Greenwood could not beat Susquehanna. So when you look at it just on that metric alone, that's a well-deserved championship for Susquehanna.
Sure.
Yes, it's a shame they couldn't play it on the basketball court, and even for Susquehanna's own legitimacy, if that is even the right way to put it, have that championship won on the court. But I don't think anybody would bristle at the notion of Susquehanna winning the Tri-Valley League championship.
Then we've got Lourdes in the Schuylkill League semifinals Thursday night. What kind of chance do you give them? I know that if they win tomorrow, they'd play a much bigger school Saturday.
Yeah, Lourdes, I think, for a long time, Lourdes was on the outside looking in Division II, just too much talent, especially from the Minersville perspective, for them to break through. They finally break through with the Schuylkill League Division II championship this year, but I think the Red Raiders have their work cut out for them.
Okay.
Throughout this season, we've seen in some of their better Schuylkill League matchups, they were coming out on the wrong side of things. I think when teams take Lourdes senior Lily Bickle out of the mix, the score is held down. They haven't really found a consistent second scoring option, although Emma Shimko has come a long way in that regard. Katie Sandry is helping, and then, of course, people know about Frances Chaponis, who's been around forever in scoring, but she's still more of a facilitator, a high post passer. So I've seen in games where opponents try to take Liliana Bickle out of the mix, Lourdes struggles. If they can find a way to both get her going and maybe add a little something else from one of the girls I've mentioned, I like their chances in the first game, but you're right, Saturday's championship game would be a tall order.
And then outside of conference tournaments, which is where our main focus is right now, one regular season game I'm focused in on Saturday. Shikellamy hosts Line Mountain. They were supposed to play Tuesday. It got postponed. Schick with a upset, I'll call it, of Southern Columbia on Monday night to give them a chance. A win Saturday, they're in the playoffs.
Yeah, and it's a new situation for our District 4 team this year. Both Shikellamy and Selinsgrove, being Class 5A schools, will have to play through District 11, which is in the Allentown, Bethlehem area, most centrally located. And as you said, Shikellamy needs that one win over Line Mountain to qualify and then play through the District 11 playoffs, or what would be a District 11, District 4 sub-regional. Thing about Shikellamy is, after winning in overtime at Selinsgrove, knocking their arch rival out of playoff contention that night, they really have been a team riding some momentum here. Line Mountain doesn't maybe present the greatest challenge, having a difficult season in its own right. And after Shikellamy won at Southern Columbia, a playoff qualifier, a team that was in the Heartland 3 mix, I would be truly surprised if Shikellamy didn't find its way to a win and become a district playoff qualifier.
That'll be nice for the Braves. First year 5A, first year of this new thing to be able to get there. Got to take care of business Saturday. All right, that's our look at girls basketball for the week. Thanks, Scott, for joining me. We got a lot of good stuff coming up, so make sure to pick up the daily item. And we'll see you guys next week for probably some playoff breakdowns.